Hello, in this video we're going to take a quick look at the Samsung Galaxy S4 against some of the main smartphones on the market at the moment to compare the physical hardware sort of size so you get an idea of how it compares against other devices. So we might as well start with the device it's succeeding, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S3. So you can see that there is next to no difference in terms of the thickness, the length, width, height. You know, it's near as damn it the same phone, albeit there's a little less curvature on the Samsung Galaxy S4 just around the corners. You can sort of see the S3 is more sort of sweeping, and you've got a little bit of a thicker band to the sort of side, so there's a little bit less curvature on the actual side of the handset. And in terms of weight, not an awful lot in it. It feels almost identical. We then have the HTC One. So as you can see, the One looks to be the slightly bigger phone in terms of height, but when you actually sit them on top of each other, again, there's next to nothing in it. The S4 is the slightly wider of the two devices. So one's plastic and one is aluminium. The HTC does feel the premium product here. You can see how the sort of screens sort of compare, and in weight very comparable again. We've got the Sony Xperia Z, which also has a 5-inch display. Of course, this is IP rated, and here we've got a little bit more difference in terms of actual sort of size. The Z is that little bit taller, fractionally wider as well, and there's also a much squarer design to it. So the S4 has the curvature, and you can see the Z sort of poking out around the corners because of that sort of squarer design. In terms of weight, the Z feels the heavier too. We've then got the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. Obviously this is the big brother to the S4. And the design ethos is sort of shared here, but you can see how the size pales into insignificance. Of course, this has a 5.5-inch display, but actual thickness is actually fairly similar, but obviously the height and everything's different, and the weight is of course heavier on the Note 2 as well. If you're still using a Samsung Galaxy S2, you can compare this here. The S4 is a bit bigger, but not much wider. You know, there is a little bit of difference. Width-wise, it's fairly comparable. In fact, it's probably a little bit thinner. And weight, yeah, a little bit heavier is the S4, but not awful a lot of difference. Got the iPhone 4 here. You know, massive size difference both in height and width. Thickness-wise, the S4 seems to have it there as well. You know, it's that little bit thinner. And in terms of weight, fairly comparable. Yeah, it'd be hard push to say which is the heavier of that two. The iPhone 4 feels quite sturdy and probably a bit more premium still than the S4. Slightly older device, the BlackBerry Bold 9700, but it's possible you could be upgrading. I mean, there's no comparison in terms of size and thickness. You know, and feature-wise, the S4 sort of is ridiculously over-featured in comparison to the 9700, but you do lose the physical keyboard. But you can get the idea that even with an on-screen keyboard, the keyboard would be bigger than that of the 9700. Lastly, let's just bring in the Samsung Galaxy S3 Mini. You know, a very popular phone in its own right. You may have used this and maybe wanting to upgrade to a more powerful smartphone. So you can see how the sort of design feel exists between the two. You've still got the curved edges, and you know, the feel is fairly similar in terms of the curvature, but the size, height, width, weight, everything is completely different. But you can see how they're part of the same family. So that's a quick look at the Samsung Galaxy S4 against other smartphones.